my kings, queens, and fellow non-binary leaders, and welcome back to OsaSunaKomoAka. Today we continue with the mini-series Hidden Heart. It's an OsaSunaKomoAka series. This is the second part, so I would highly advise you to watch the first one for context. And now, let's go. It is her comfort. But I'm super excited for this. I hope you are too. Enjoy!
He didn't sleep well that night. Suna had kept his word and slept on the couch, even after Akagi snuck down once more to assure him that Osamu wouldn't mind if he joined them in bed now. He had thanked him but denied and didn't turn around. He didn't want Akagi to see him like this. The majority of the night he lay awake, replaying everything that happened in his head, their fight, everything that Osamu had accused him of wouldn't let him go. And he was right. Thinking back these past weeks, months even, Suna had been distancing himself from them. Just after the husband challenge, when he already noticed how surprised Komori was at him taking the time for him and vowed to do better. But he didn't. He got worse. A strangled sob escaped his throat at the thought, and he turned around to hide further in his pillow. Osamu was right. He was an awful boyfriend. He couldn't even blame him if he'd leave. He cried harder until eventually exhaustion took him. It didn't last long. A nightmare woke him up again, and the clock betrayed that he had slept little more than 2 hours, as it showed that it was shortly after 5 a.m. Still, he knew he wouldn't find rest again, and just the thought of falling into another nightmare with no one there to help or reassure him, worse, to find that it soon might be true, he couldn't bear it. He fought himself up from his makeshift bed and quickly put on his clothes from yesterday, not even bothering to check if they were still fresh enough. He was already in the hallway when he paused. His heart was still beating wildly in his chest, and he didn't need a mirror to know his eyes were probably bloodshot and glossy. How much he wished to simply go to them and be wrapped in their arms. Abruptly, he turned around and his legs carried him to the only one of his boyfriends who hopefully had remained unaware of the whole incident. Komori was still deeply asleep and sniffled in his slumber, fighting off the sickness, but Suna found peace in his vicinity nonetheless. He smiled as he saw the peaceful expression on the Libera's face, and pressed a kiss to his temple before he turned around to leave again, as to not risk disturbing him further. He quickly threw on a jacket and shoes and locked the door behind him. It was still dark outside as his legs carried him the familiar route he took to run. He hoped the cool morning air would clear his head. It helped in calming him, but not with the problem at hand. He felt only more aware of how badly he had messed up, and had to actively stop himself from panicking. He could still fix this. Somehow. If it wasn't too late, he just needed to be better. On his way home, it was already way past 6. He quickly stopped at a bakery to bring all of them breakfast, and prayed the others would still be asleep when he arrived. He wasn't so lucky. Osamu sat at the dinner table in the open kitchen, his head resting on his hand, and his eyes looked red-rimmed as if he had cried. His gaze snapped up when he heard Suna enter, and immediately the middle blocker's heart grew heavier. For a moment the civ head looked relieved, before the scowl returned to his face. "Do you..." His voice broke and he gulped, frustrated. "Do you have any idea how worried I was when you were suddenly gone? Then I thought you..." He didn't finish his sentence, but Suna could feel his anger radiating from where he sat. He didn't know what to reply, but simply holding up the bag with the bakery brand on top of it didn't seem to help. Osamu just looked at it incredulously for a moment and shook his head slightly. They set the table in silence. When Akagi joined them, he tried to mend the situation, but only managed to string up a conversation with Osamu. Suna still felt sick at the tension in the air and had to force the food down to make sure he wouldn't upset them further.
I checked him with Otoya. He's doing better, but definitely needs to rest some more.
Osamu nodded slowly. Yeah, that'd be best. I can see if I can check on him during my break. That's not necessary. I'll stay with him.
They looked at him surprised, which only worsened the sick feeling in his stomach.
I already called Coach to inform him. I'll stay home to take care of him.
He actually called in sick because he could hardly even stand with how tired he was, and now he even felt the part with the dread settling ice cold in his stomach. He briefly wondered if he might have gotten infected as well.
Okay. He looked like he wanted to say something more, but didn't. Suna didn't know what to make of that, and just focused on forcing the last bites of his food down. When they left, Osamu hesitated, but didn't reach out to wish him goodbye, and so Suna didn't either. Akagi hugged him and smiled when he reciprocated the hug. After they were gone, Suna felt dead on his feet, but he didn't give in to the urge of curling up in their bed and hoping the remaining warmth would make him feel less alone. Instead, he set out to clean the house. It was long overdue anyway. He started with the bathroom before making Komori breakfast that was easy on his stomach, and set out to clean the kitchen afterward. The libero was still too tired to notice much different and just thanked him with a slightly loopy smile. It made his heart beat a bit better again. He targeted each room individually, and so by 1 p.m. he was mostly finished and only needed to change the sheets of their bed and the guest bedroom where Komori was still sleeping. When he started, his hands were suddenly shaking, and he was once more overcome by the desire of simply crawling under the covers and hiding away from anything else. Osamu's hand still clung to his pillow, and he quickly brought up his sleeve to wipe his tears away. It took him longer than it should have, and before he could move on to the guest bedroom, he had to compose himself. Still, he could tell that Komori noticed that something was off as he helped him out of the bed and to a chair off to the side before changing the sweat-drenched sheets from the fever he battled the night before.
In?
Are you okay? He paused before pretending to focus on the task at hand, not facing him as he responded. Of course. I'm just a bit tired, that's all. Komori gave no indication as to whether he believed that at first, but... I heard your fight with Osamu yesterday. Is everything okay? He froze. The pressure behind his eyes began to build again, but he refused to give in to it. Yeah. We'll be fine. We fight sometimes. It'll be fine. He desperately tried to convince himself of that as much as he tried to convince Komori. It sounded more serious. So it hadn't just been in his head. He felt his fear paralyze him briefly, trying somehow to breathe through it. It'll be fine. Sorry, I should really put these in the washing machine. He quickly collected the sheets before stumbling out of the room again, ignoring Komori's calls for him to wait. He couldn't do this. How could he be a good boyfriend and be there for them if every time he tried, he threatened to fall apart? He needed to find a way to be strong for them. The next couple of days he tried his best. He looked out for any chores that needed to be done and tended to them wordlessly. He nursed Komori back to health but avoided his questions, and dutifully forced on his meals when he ate with the others, though he tried to avoid that now. The stress seemed to turn his stomach. problem was that none of this was as effortless as it should be. Chores felt like a cheap distraction, but the thing he really ought to do, be there for them, he seemed incapable of. Every time he found himself alone with one of them, he anxiously awaited the moment it'd escalate, like a few nights ago, that one of them would point out again that he wasn't enough, and they'd be right. He was so quick to tears now that he fled any situation involving them as quickly as possible, the opposite of what he should do. Osamu said he needed him, and here he was, running away. He did sleep in the same bed as them again, as did Komori now that he had recovered, but although he was lying mere centimeters from them, it felt as though he was miles away. It didn't help that Osamu didn't hug him as before. He felt like with every day the air was growing thinner around him, and today in particular. He had messed up in practice, worse than usual. His coach had been mad at him, he was sure. He was so bad they offered him to go home early, assuming he was sick, but he refused. Now he wished he had accepted it, as Komori tried to console him on the way home, and he couldn't go much longer without breaking down. He practically ran inside and rushed to take off his shoes to escape. Lin, are you... Not now. I need... He interrupted himself, staring up at Osamu and froze. It was so much like a few weeks ago, after the reality check he desperately needed, and that had shattered his world. And yet, did he even change if the scene repeated almost exactly? He felt panic flood his nervous system and a wave of nausea crushing down on him. The world around him suddenly lost focus, and he weakly fought himself up to run, but didn't make it 2 steps before he lost his orientation. From somewhere behind him he heard his name being called, and felt a pair of strong arms catching him, but he was too riddled with panic to understand what was happening anymore. He broke down in sobs, clinging to whoever had caught him, unable to make his escape.
Thank you so much for watching this second part till the end. I really hope you liked it. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. It would mean the world to me. And don't worry, the third part will come up very, very soon. Just like there will be another amazing video tomorrow, so check that out if you like. Also, tell me what your favorite moment and or quote from this video was under the pinned comment. It would help me so much in making better content for you. Really, you all mean the world to me. Thank you all. Special thanks goes out to my Netty. They support this channel incredibly a lot, and they're the best. A special thanks goes out to Ellen, Yachi, Kreis, Kosuke, and Bromance, who just joined. Seriously, you guys are absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for all your support. Here are my other social media, check them out if you like. I'm most active here on YouTube, on Instagram, and on the Discord, where I post regular updates about the upcoming projects. And here's my content, check this out if you like, and I hope you have an amazing day. Bye everyone!
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up.